Hello everybody and welcome to our PD On Demand session for Mote voice notes. If you'd like to get this slideshow for yourself, you can get it from the short link at the bottom of the screen there, bit.ly/neomote, bit.ly/NEO lowercase mote. And again, that will get you the whole slideshow for this session. So again, welcome everybody. My name's Dan. I'm the Technology Integration Specialist at NeoNet. My email is dneeson@neonet.org. So if you have any questions from anything that we will talk about here today, feel free to shoot me an email. Again, that's the best way to get a hold of me. Again, you can get the slideshow at the short link at the bottom of the screen, bit.ly/neomote. And let's go ahead and look at our to-do list for today. We'll start off by looking at how to use Mote. Then we'll talk about leaving effective feedback, and then we'll go into several different lesson and activity examples. As we go, I'll kind of explain how to use Mote. We'll talk about the different examples of different ways teachers and students can use Mote. One thing I'll mention is teachers are the only ones that absolutely need to have Mote. Students don't necessarily have to have the extension installed for themselves, though it kind of opens up more possibilities. We'll talk more about that as we go on. All right, so what is Mote? So Mote is a browser extension that allows you to create voice messages almost anywhere. It integrates into Google Classroom, Docs, Slides, Forms, and more. We'll talk about all the different things all the different places where we can find Mote in just a little bit. So you can get the browser extension at the link I have here on slide number 5 for you. If you click on that, it takes you over to the Chrome Web Store, or you can just search for Mote in the Chrome Web Store. And here it is. Again, it's free to use, it's free to install. There is a paid version that you can do. For our purposes today, we'll just focus on the free version. As you can see, it has over 1 million users and really good reviews. It has almost 5 stars. That's 4.7 stars. And so, of course, it's a pretty good tool to use. Now, in the free version, you only get 30 seconds per recording, but you can make as many recordings as you'd like. All the recordings are stored on Mote's website. You can also download them. We'll talk more about that as well in just a little bit. But you can absolutely get away with the free version. There's a few other bells and whistles you can get in the paid version, but again, we'll just focus on the free one today. So now let's talk about how to use Mote. So once you have the extension installed, you'll click on the extension icon to get logged in. So of course this is a browser extension just like any other browser extension. So it's going to show up here in the top right of your screen in Chrome. If it doesn't show up here, it'll be under the little puzzle piece, and scroll down until you find Mote in there somewhere. I personally like to have it pinned here so it's nice and easy to get to. When you click on it, it will open up this little menu. The first time you come in, you may have to sign in, and you just sign in with your credentials. But once you do, then you can have this, click on this button here at the top that says record a Mote voice note. And just like that, we are now recording. And again, we have 30 seconds to record our message. When we're finished, we just click done. And now this link is copied to my clipboard, and then of course I can share this link with other people, send it out through an email, and of course again we're going to see lots of different examples and different ways to use voice notes in different lesson activities. Once you're logged in, you can create an audio clip from anywhere. Again, just click on the icon and record. You will also look for the Mote symbol inside of Google Slides, Docs, Forms, and even Google Classroom to record a message and drop it directly inside of those tools. Again, we'll see some examples of what this looks like here in just a second. The big thing to look out for is just this big old purple M here that's going to show up in those different places. So this is how you can find the Mote symbol over in Gmail. Of course, here's the little toolbar that comes at the bottom of a new message in Gmail. And if I open up Gmail real quick here, I'll show you. So of course, as we can see in the bottom right of the screen here, I have my little purple Mote M. If I give a click on that, I have my time to start a recording. This one has 1.5 minutes. That's the time you get if you do the paid version. This account is on the free trial of the paid version, so that's why I have more time. But anyway, once we're done, we'll just click on the Mote symbol again, and it drops the Mote voice note right into the body of this email message. If the person you're sending this to also has the Mote extension installed, they will be able to just click on the Mote icon, the little symbol right inside of the message, and they'll be able to listen to it. Seems like there was a little error there. Of course, I can just simply re-record my message if I need to. Okay. If the person doesn't have the Mote extension installed, they'll just have a link there that they can click on, and they'll just go to Mote's website to listen to the extension. You can also find Mote over in Google Docs. You can find them through hyperlinks and through comments. So just like this little picture shows, when you create a comment bubble, you'll see the little Mote extension show up there. Of course, we can just click on it and create a voice message that way. We can also do it through a hyperlink as well. We essentially create a hyperlink on a word or a sentence, and we put in the link for a Mote, and it'll show up as like a little card right there in the page. So let me show you what that's going to look like. Let me go ahead and jump into just a new Google Doc. And I'll just type something in here real quick. And the first one is a comment. So of course, to make a comment, we just highlight a word or a phrase, click on the little blue comment button over on the side. And now, of course, I have my little comment bubble along with my little Mote symbol. And just like before, I can make my little voice note, put in whatever comments I need, and then we'll click done. And then we'll just hit comment. And for everyone that has the Chrome extension for Mote installed, they'll see it show up just like this as like a little card that they can listen to. And just like before, I can make my little voice note. Okay. Again, if people don't have the Mote extension installed, it'll just show a link and they can click on it and they'll just go over to Mote's website to listen. All right. So again, you can do it either way. So this is a very nice collaborative tool. So especially when you're working with other people, you can put in little voice notes. Now, the other thing you can also do is you can leave a link. So just like we can leave little comment bubbles here, if we do a link here, I'll go ahead and highlight the word and go into our hyperlink button here. We can leave the link to a Mote right here. Again, the way to get a link to a Mote is simply record one from the browser extension up at the top. This is going to be my message that's going to show up right in the body of a Google Doc. There we go. There's my voice message. As that little purple message said, the link is already copied to my clipboard. So I can just come back to this part of the page here and just paste in that link and click on apply. And just like that, now I have a audio clip sitting right here in my Google Doc. This is going to be my message that's going to show up right. Okay, so just like that, again, I can have the audio clip show up in kind of a couple of different ways inside of a Google Doc. Up next, we have finding Mote in Google Forms. So again, just like this picture shows, we can find the little Mote symbol in a couple of different places in a Google form. And so the wheels might already be turning for teachers about different ways to use this, especially, of course, lots of teachers like to use Google Forms for automatic quiz making. So that means you can absolutely put in some audio instructions, or maybe for like language teachers, you can put in some certain words or phrases. Well, again, we'll talk more about integration ideas in just a little bit. So again, from here, we'll start to find the Mote symbol show up in a few different places. So just like we see here, it'll show up right here at the bottom of one of these text blocks. If you are putting in a new question, it'll show up at the end of each block there. If you put in one of these title options here, it'll also show up there as well. Okay, so you have several different options for putting in a voice note right into this page. And again, it works the same way as we talked about earlier. If the person that's doing the form also has the Mote extension installed, they'll see it pop up right on the page. If they don't, they'll just see a link that they can also click on. Here's my voice message for this question. Okay, and just like that, it's going to drop in the link there for us in the description of the question. I kind of have to click away to another question first before the little card comes up, but there it is, and it'll be visible for us to see. And let's just do a little preview for what this will look like. And there we go. There's our audio question sitting right there on the page. Okay, and again, it doesn't necessarily matter that much if the students that are taking this Google form quiz have the extension installed, because they would still have the link. It might be a little bit easier for them because they'll have the play button right there on the page. Next up, we have Google Slides. So of course, we can find the Mote extension in a couple of different spots in Google Slides. So just like this picture shows, we'll find it up at the top. You'll get a new button that shows up at the top of the screen once you have the Mote extension installed. And just like we saw over in Docs, it'll show up in those comments as well. So let me go ahead and jump over to a Google Slide. I'll show you what that looks like. And so once this finishes loading for me, we'll see that pop in just a moment. There it is. So of course we can see our little Mote symbol that now shows up here at the top. Again, this will show up when you have that extension. And again, all we have to do is simply click on that extension, give it a click, and now of course we can start recording. And the audio clip is going to be dropped right onto the page for everyone to listen to. Okay. The nice thing about slides is it's very easy to put these audio clips right onto the page, and you can add multiple audio clips to the same slide in Google Slide. I think probably Google Slides is probably the easiest one to use with Mote. And again, I'll just hit insert, and it's going to drop in the audio clip for me. And once it does, it'll load up for a couple of seconds here. There it goes. And now we have a little audio clip in here. It looks just like any other audio clip except for it's purple. I can make it bigger, move it around, do whatever I need with it. And again, I can do multiple audio clips on the same slide. All right, next up we have finding Mote in Google Sheets. So just like we saw over in Slides and in Docs, it's just through the comment system. So when you make a comment in a Google Sheet, that's what it'll look like here. You'll still have that same comment box that we've seen before. It's the same exact thing. We can simply click on that Mote extension and leave a little voice note for other people or ourselves, of course. Next up, we have finding Mote in Google Classroom. So we'll look for the Mote symbol in the Stream, Classwork, and under the private comments when you're grading. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what that's going to look like. Let me head over to Classroom. So like I said, there's three different spots where you can find there's three different spots where you can find Mote in Google Classroom. Again, the first is in the Stream. So when you are creating an announcement, we can give a click on this item here to start putting in all of our details. And just like we saw, we'll have a new button in here. We have our new Mote button. And just like that, we have our Mote audio notes sitting right here for us to kind of kick off a discussion or any important announcements. Okay, and just like before, we can go ahead and post it. And again, it'll be available for people to see. Again, if they have the extension, they'll see it show up just like this as a little card that they can listen to right in the page. And again, if they don't have the extension, a link will be there, and they can just simply click on it to go over to Mote's website to then listen to the audio clip. All right, next up is over in the Classwork page. So it's pretty much the same idea, but you can do this as part of an assignment. So if I go into create an assignment here, just like we saw over in the Stream, we also have the new Mote button showing up here under instructions. So again, you can ask that same, you can put in those audio clips in the exact same manner. And then last but not least, of course, we have private comments when grading in Google Classroom. So if I head over to, let me find an example activity here. Let me do this one instead. Let me hop over to a different class actually. Let me grab, here we go. So if I'm grading some students' work in this style of grading page, where it actually opens us up here in a Google Doc or a Google Slide. And of course, we have our grading page down the right-hand side. Of course, we normally just put in our grade. Maybe we'll use the comment bank. We'll talk more about that actually just in a little bit. But the new thing that Mote does is it adds a Mote button right here under private comments. So we can, of course, leave students some audio feedback individually in their private comments. So I can leave whatever feedback I like, hit complete, and then post that private comment right back to them. Of course, students, if they have the Mote extension installed, they'll be able to listen to it right in the page when they go and look at your feedback. And if they have the extension installed themselves, they could leave some audio feedback back to you again. So it can be kind of a asynchronous voice conversation that you could be having. All right. So there's 3 different ways to use Mote right inside of Google Classroom. All right, so let's keep on going here. So the next question then is, what happens to all of those Motes? What happens to all those voice notes that I make? So they're all stored on mote.com. So all we have to do is go into My Activity, or you can click on the extension and then go find My Activity and Engagement. So I'll click on the extension here. I'll go into My Activity and Engagement. It'll open up that page for me right inside of Mote's website. Again, all that stuff is stored here. And we'll see basically just this big old list of all the audio clips that we've made. And they're all listed here. And as you can see, depending on where you put that voice note originally, kind of what the original context of it is, it's going to tell you all that information over here on the right-hand side. And so you'll be able to look at, like in this case, I just made this private comment for Andrew Anderson in my Google Classroom. I can see what class it was, which assignment it was for, who it was for, and I can see what they call the original context, which just means where the audio clip was originally made. Or I can also click on what they call the landing page, which is basically just the place where the audio clip lives, and this is the direct place where that audio clip is kind of stored. And so, of course, if I want to share this same audio clip out with other people, I can just copy this link up here and go and share it out. Okay. They even actually give you a little share button down here as well that you can share with a copy link or even a QR code, which is really great too. All right. Going over to the side here, of course, you can see when it was actually created, its availability, whether you want it to be unlisted, hidden, or deleted. Unlisted simply means people have to have the link to be able to listen to the audio clip. Hidden means it's kind of private only to you. And then over here on the right-hand side, we have this category for listen or download, so we can listen to the audio clip right here. Just doing some audio feedback. Okay, and just like that, I can listen to that audio feedback again. If I go to these little 3 dots, I can download this audio clip as an MP3 file. So I can actually own the actual file itself and then do whatever I want with it. If it's a good piece of audio feedback that I have there, a good audio clip I want to keep, I can download it and go save it wherever I'd like. All right. So again, each audio clip is listed with its original context, landing page, and the option to download it as an MP3 file. As of now, the only way to rename an audio clip is to download it and then rename it, at least in the free version. So as you may have noticed, if you end up having a lot of different audio clips, it might be kind of confusing to know which one's which, because sometimes the description isn't very descriptive. So as we can see, like I have a lot of them that are just called in Google Slides. Doesn't necessarily tell me what it really is. I'd have to listen to each individual one. So if I want to rename it, I would have to download it, download the clip itself, and then I could rename the clip and store it away somewhere else, like in my Google Drive or right on my desktop. Okay. All right, so next, let's take a look at how we can leave feedback on students' work with Mote in Google Classroom. So we already saw doing private comments. That's a pretty easy thing, but there's a little bit more that we can do. as I kind of alluded to earlier, you can save the Motes that you're doing to your Google Classroom using the comment bank. So, of course, in Google Classroom, we can use that comment bank to save comments so we don't have to use them, don't have to retype things over and over again. But we can also do that with audio clips. So the idea is we can create a Mote with a comment on a student's doc slider sheet. So just like we saw earlier, let me hop back over into my Google Classroom again. Let me just go into one of these classes just as an example. And let's do this one here. There we are. And so what I want to do is create a Mote voice note where I'm leaving some feedback for a student. And, you know, of course, we all know when we're grading, we sometimes see the same mistakes over and over again, or we tend to leave the same feedback over and over again. And so instead of typing that out, we can use Mote to leave some voice comments. And so, of course, just like we normally do when we leave comments, we'll go ahead and use whatever tool that we want. So like in this case here, I just have like a quick little assignment. I'll highlight whatever it is. So I'll highlight this word here. And because I have the Mote extension installed, when I click on the comment button, again, up comes our little comment with the option to click to record. Hey, I like how you answered this, but one thing to keep in mind is, etc., etc. Okay, there's our voice note. We can go ahead and say comment. It leaves that voice note right there for our student, of course. Now, the next thing we'll do is we'll find the little 3 dots in the upper right corner of that comment. We only have to really make the comment once. So we go to the 3 dots in the upper right corner of that comment and then click on the option that says Add to Comment Bank. So we can go to the upper right corner and Add to Comment Bank. And so I can type in maybe something that will kind of give me a better idea of what the comment is, because by default, all it'll say is click here to hear my voice. And so I could add in, you know, some sort of extra kind of information to let me know what voice note I'm actually using here. Maybe I'll call this one think about this. Okay. And we'll click add. Okay. And just like that, of course, in our comment bank, using this little button here, here is my audio clip. Here's my item in my comment bank that I can reuse between students. So right now I'm grading Betty Brown's. If I leave her a comment, jump over to my next kid. So here's Chris Cruz. I'm on his paper now. If I go and leave him a comment, go ahead and put in a comment bubble here. And instead of having to remake that audio clip over and over again, all that I have to do to use that item from the comment bank is type the pound or hashtag symbol, and then the first like letter or two of that comment. And then go ahead and type the rest in, find the right one, and there we go. We have the same audio comment that we can use over and over again. Hey, I like how you answered this, but one thing to keep in mind. Okay, so again, we can use that same audio clip over and over again between students, between different assignments, and even between different Google Classrooms. I could be in a whole separate class. If I have a whole different section of students or a whole different prep, I could actually use this same audio clip between all of it. Okay, so again, there's a little picture of what that looks like. And again, just all you really have to do is make the audio clip once, make it a comment, and then click on the 3 dots, and then add to comment bank. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at lesson and activity examples. So we'll see lots of different examples and from different class subjects and from different grade levels. So first thing here is guided reading. So anytime students are reading, we can add audio clips to differentiate, maybe scaffold, clarify, or whatever else that we need to do. So here's a couple of different examples. So one of the features that's kind of built into Mote is this ability to create a audio clip that kind of floats on a web page. It works best if the students have the extension installed themselves, but this is what it'll look like. So here's this web page. And as we can see, it's kind of like redirecting over to this other page here. And once this finishes loading for me, we'll see a audio clip here pop up in just a moment. And the idea is it will show up a little, I think the ad was blocking it or something. The idea is it kind of has a little pop-up audio clip that kind of shows up on a page. So the idea is you can have some web page that you're sharing to students include an audio clip of you along with it. Okay. Next one here is in a Google Doc. And so here is just kind of an example. This is a really good way to have some text-to-speech kind of built right into a Google Doc. So it's a great way to do like a read aloud activity or help to define or help students know how to pronounce certain terms. And so here, the way what I did here is I just took I took some text here, The Gnat and the Bull, one of Aesop's fables. And I added these little read aloud buttons here. And the idea is when I give students this Google Doc, it'll include this little read aloud button. And when they click on read aloud, they'll listen to the audio clip.
The gnat and the bull. A gnat flew over the meadow with much buzzing for so small a creature.
Okay, and of course I'm just reading aloud. Again, I only have 30 seconds to make these readings, so I just added multiple Mote links to the same page, so that way it's kind of split up a little bit, but that we still get that that text to speech. What I also did here is at the end, I kind of figured the word conceit might be a difficult word for students that maybe they don't know how to pronounce it or don't know what it means. So what I did is I highlighted it, and I also put a Mote voice note on that as well.
This word is pronounced conceit. It means to have excessive pride in yourself. Another term might be vanity or narcissism.
Okay, so again, just like that, we could help students with some reading aloud, or we can also put in some key term definitions, or helping kids know how to pronounce certain words, that sort of thing. And of course, this is a very easy thing to do right inside of Google Docs, like we saw. You could do the same thing over here in Google Slides, which we'll talk about in just a second. But let's head over to a Google Form. So, of course, we have our Google Form with audio clips built right in. And so one thing you can do is you can leave instructions right here on the form, directing students for what they're supposed to do right in the form. You can kind of attach it to a multiple choice question saying where they have to confirm that they listen to the audio clip. And then, of course, we can have like the reading like we just saw. And of course, you can have a audio clip that leaves some instructions or actually asks a question, and you can actually have students respond with their own voice clip. Again, if they have the Mote extension installed, this is what students will see. They'll be able to click to record their own response. And in this question here, it says, in your own words, what does conceit mean? Conceit means to be too proud of yourself. There we go. And just like that, a student can leave an audio clip as an answer as well inside of a Google form. All right, and then last example here for a guided reading activity is over here in Google Slides. And so this one kind of works along the same idea as we saw over in Google Docs, but it's kind of just built inside of Slides, and it might be a little bit easier to do this way. And so just like we saw before, this is a great way to do some guided reading where we can have, or text-to-speech, where we can read the text for students, which is, of course, a very helpful thing sometimes. And as we can see here, we have a Mote audio clip just sitting here just like we saw how to create earlier. And I just added a little curly bracket here that just goes along with each paragraph. The way I just made these curly brackets, by the way, was just under the shapes icon here. And it's under the shapes. Where is it? There we go. Under equation, rather. That's what it's under. So under shapes and then equation, there's your little curly bracket. And that way you can kind of make it a little bit easier for kids to tell what paragraph is going to the little audio clip. Okay. All right. So then next up we have this little video here. I'm not going to show it for us here today, but if you're interested in watching it, this is kind of a further detail examples and methods for doing guided reading activities with Mote in a couple of different Google apps, mainly Google Slides and Forms and Docs. All right, so next up is one that I created here. So this activity really made me think, or this tool rather, Mote really made me think of when I was teaching U.S. history. So I was a high school social studies teacher, and I taught U.S. history for a couple of years. And FDR and World War II were some of my favorite topics. And I instantly thought of, man, this would be a really good tool for kids to talk about fireside chats. And so I created this activity here. And so if you're a U.S. history teacher, this is a fun activity for students to do where they basically take on the role of FDR doing his fireside chats. And essentially the idea is that students, here's kind of the instructions, students would watch a example video of one of FDR's fireside chats. Then they would write out a couple of paragraphs where they're pretending to be FDR, and he's talking to the country about one of the big things happening in the U.S. at the time. And then they would read off of that script in Mote, and they would leave an audio clip on this slide template for me to come and listen to, as if I were an American citizen back in the 30s or 40s. Okay, and so it's a kind of a fun activity. Kind of goes beyond just lecturing to get students more involved in the content. And again, if you want to get that for yourself, that link is right there on slide number 20 for you. Next up here is flipped instruction. So we can use Mote alongside pre-existing videos for flipped instruction. And so, of course, if you're not familiar with what flipped instruction is, the gist of it is we kind of flip the roles of homework and classwork and lectures to kind of create a different style of teaching. So, of course, in a traditional classroom, students come into class, we do a lecture in class, and then at home, students' homework is application of kind of extension activities of whatever we talked about in class. With a flipped classroom, we flip those roles. So when kids come to class, they're actually applying and doing things together and doing like those higher order thinking skills together in class with other students and the teacher. And at home, students are watching kind of more base level lecture videos or instructional videos where they kind of get the basic information that they'll use to then help them when they come to class the next day to apply. Okay, and so the idea of this template here, again, here's the link on slide 21. The idea of this template is to kind of supplement the videos that you find, or the videos that you find or you use along with your students in a flipped lesson. And so the idea is, I'll show you the template here. I'm just going to jump over to the template page. Here we are. And so the idea is students would see this template here, and they would have, we see these different boxes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Under box number 1, the teacher would leave them an audio clip where they kind of introduce a video to help explain the context or things to look out for. In box number 2 is the actual video. Usually it'll probably come from YouTube. This is kind of works best when you are pulling a video that you did not make yourself, but it's a nice high quality video that you like to use, but sometimes you just need a little extra context for kids to know why we're watching this, what we're supposed to take away from it, that sort of thing. Then number 3, this number 3 box over here, this will have students listen to another audio clip from the teacher again, where they explain, kind of summarize the video add additional instructions. And then number 4 is an audio clip that the students leave. So this could be a summary, this could be things that they've learned, or it could, of course, be any sort of other activity you have attached. Okay, so that's the idea of using Mote along with a flipped instruction lesson. Next one here is a foreign language activity. And so, of course, if you're a foreign language teacher, Mote is one of the perfect tools that you could use. And especially for foreign language, but also for like language arts as well. So students can listen to a Mote and then simply translate. And of course, they can leave some text feedback as they translate, or they can translate it verbally using Mote again to speak the translation. And so here's a couple of example templates. So here's example number 1. And let's see this load up here. And so on this one, essentially the idea is, at the very top, the teacher left some instructions.
Write a translation for each phrase that you...
Okay, so we have our instructions. And then down each of these rows, we have a different sentence in Spanish.
El año pasado fui a Barcelona.
Okay, and then it's the student's job to write in the main part what the translation is. It's a very simple activity, and as you can imagine, it's kind of a more interesting activity than just a worksheet where they're just reading a sentence. All right, and it's something that you can do kind of asynchronously to give them, an audio clip where you would normally have to be in person to be able to let them hear you. And here's another template, example number 2 here. And there's all the instructions here, and this is what it'll look like. Let me put in all these answers here. And so the idea for this one is students are moving the little audio clips on the page to the correct box to answer each question. So they would listen to an audio clip.
Oui, j'adore la musique.
Okay, and they would look for 1 through 7, which question would correspond to that audio clip, and so that's kind of like a matching activity that you can do with audio clips. All right. Next one here is you can change the speaker icon in Slides. This is going to be particularly useful if you're doing an activity in Google Slides and you want to have a Mote voice note attached. That especially is good for giving instructions. As we can see from this little image, you can see it can kind of be moved over from the kind of default purple to a different style where we have a little ring around that says listen to these directions first. Okay, so if you are using Google Slides, you can change the default purple speaker the icon gives you. So after creating a Mote in Slides, you'll click on the Mote icon again and find the replace image option at the top. So let me just show you what I mean real quick here. And once this loads for me, there we go. And these are my instructions. Make sure to listen to all these instructions before you start working. There we are, and I'll go ahead and put this right into the page. And the idea is, instead of just using the kind of the default purple speaker icon that it gives you, what we can do is we can change the icon by going up to, as long as we're selected on the icon, we'll go to replace image up here at the top, and we can replace it with whatever picture that we want. Now, on the slideshow, you can, I have an example page here listed on slide 23 that has some examples that are already created that you can save. And so if I open up these, here's several different examples that are already set to be the right size. We can just download any one of these options as a picture. So if I want to just do one of these directions ones, once I find one that I like, I can go to File and then Download as a JPEG or a PNG. It really doesn't matter in this case. Download it as a picture. Then back over in my slideshow, I go to Replace Image, Upload from my computer, and then I just go and find that option, or find that clip. Okay, and I think it's this one. There we go. So just like that, now I have a different style icon. Okay, and again, this page, it has been updated fairly recently as well. So there's several different button options that you can pick from, or of course you can also even create your own. All right. Next up, we have guided virtual field trips. So teachers and students can be the narrators of their virtual field trips, and the idea would be students are creating a virtual tour inside of Google, inside of like Google Maps or in Google Earth. And the idea is they can create an audio clip that kind of conjoins with their virtual tour, where they're kind of like a tour guide and they're explaining the different things that we're seeing. It's a very fun activity, obviously really good for like a social studies class or a foreign language class. Here on slide 24, this video kind of goes into more details. Again, for our purposes, I'll let you guys watch that at your leisure, but that's another fun activity that you can do. Next up here is choice boards. So of course we can use motes to help explain directions and activities in a choice board. So if you've ever done choice boards before, or if you haven't, the kind of the gist of it is we have a kind of a list of different options that students can do to demonstrate their knowledge. And if we combine that with Mote, we can put in Mote activities as part of the choice board, and we can also put in Mote voice notes as instructions, or as in clarifications or scaffolding or differentiation that can be built right into the choice board. So here on slide 25, if you click on that example link, that'll take you over to this page. And here this first grade teacher created this choice board. And as you can see, he has little audio clips that go along with each of the different options. And for him, the way he made this one is he just did them to basically clarify the instructions. So like here's this first one.
Look around the room and find these two-dimensional shapes.
Okay.
Triangle, square.
Okay, so very simple activity to also just kind of help students have clarification about what they're supposed to be doing. All right, and again, you can of course combine the choice board here with the different type of Mote style activities that we looked at so far. Another thing you can also do here is create a math notebook. Essentially, the idea is students would explain their process for solving a problem. And so they would put inside of a Google Doc or a slideshow, they would be able to basically put in little audio clips where they're describing the different steps that they are taking. And this is a good knowledge check because sometimes it can be difficult to tell the steps that students are taking when they're writing out a math problem. Okay, one thing that he'll talk about on this page here is students don't necessarily have to do the actual math in the like Google Slide or Google Doc. They can essentially do the actual math like on a paper worksheet with pencil paper. And they simply take a picture of their finished product, then put that into a Google Doc or a Google Slide, and then they'll put in the audio clip where again they are explaining the steps that they took. Okay. Again, here this video on slide 26 goes into more detail about that. All right. Here on slide 27, I have the link for Mote's page where they collect different activities that are that work with Mote. But the thing I kind of encourage you to do is start thinking about your own content and your own teaching style. You know, could teacher-created audio clips help out students? Could student-created audio clips create new learning experiences? Think about how your feedback could change. Think about how your different activities could be possibly more engaging or more clear for students. All right. If you want to see more examples, here on slide 27, that link at the top will take you over to the Learning Hub from Mote. This page has a huge list of several different activities using Mote for various subject areas and grade levels. And so as we can see, there's a bunch on here. Each one's free to use, free to explore. You can kind of scroll through and look at anything that piques your interest. Each one has a little explainer attached to it, and it has the template available for you to use for free. All right, and as you can tell, there is a lot of different options in here, and here's the one that I made. So there's the Fireside Chats one, so that's another place where you can get that activity. All right, so with that said, that's pretty much going to bring us down to the end for this PD On Demand session. Don't worry about the sign in here button. That's only if you're doing the session live. If you want to do that quick survey, that would be great too. Again, there's the short link up at the top right of the screen, bit.ly/NEO MOTE. That will get you the slideshow again for today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to shout out. Email is the best way to get a hold of me. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. Thanks again so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.